Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to the Famous and Fearless channel. Venice is a city that shouldn't exist. It's floating, fragile, impossible, and yet, somehow, it's real. The same could be said about what just happened there, because Jeff Bezos, the third richest man on Earth, just spent over $50 million on a wedding so extravagant it shut down an island, filled the skies with private jets, and stuffed every headline on Earth with one name, Lauren Sánchez. But here's the twist. Instead of awe, the internet delivered a roast. People weren't inspired, they were confused. From a bizarre gray carpet to an Instagram wipe that felt more like a rebrand than a romance. This wasn't just a wedding, it was a statement, a transformation, a spectacle dressed up as sincerity. There were Kardashians, awkward Vogue spreads, rumors that celebrities were paid to show up, and even a climate activist ducking his head under a baseball cap like he didn't want to be seen. So here's the question. Was this the wedding of the century or a $50 million crisis in billionaire self-awareness? Let's break it all down.
Brand new video, brand new photos. The bazillionaire and his brand new bride married on the island.
It's an impossible city. It can't exist. And yet here it is.
Before the first drone shot ever hit the internet, something was already off. Just days before the ceremony, Lauren Sánchez wiped her entire Instagram clean, every post gone, except for two glossy, hyper-curated images. No captions, no context. It was the kind of move you'd expect from a celebrity on the verge of a major brand deal, not a bride about to marry the richest man on the planet. But that's exactly the point. This wasn't just a wedding, it was a rebranding campaign. Gone was the former news anchor. In her place stood a full-blown media personality. Styled like a Kardashian, marketed like a luxury product, and Bezos, he wasn't hiding in spreadsheets anymore. He was out there, grinning wide, arms outstretched, sailing through Venice like he was auditioning for the Bachelor Billionaire edition. Every photo, every angle felt engineered. Paparazzi were tipped off. Vogue got exclusive rights to Lauren's bridal shoot, and the message was crystal clear. This wasn't just a ceremony, it was a rollout. One designed not for intimacy, but for attention. And the headlines came pouring in, but attention isn't the same as admiration, and soon people started looking closer. Tom Brady, Oprah, Leonardo DiCaprio, Kim Kardashian, Sydney Sweeney, Jerry Seinfeld, even Ivanka Trump. That wasn't just a wedding guest list, it was a press release with legs. The second the names started leaking, people had questions. Not just who showed up, but why. These weren't close friends. They weren't part of some secret inner circle. They weren't even from the same social orbit. It was like someone handed a publicist a blank check and said, "Make it sparkle." Whispers of paid appearances spread like wildfire online. Reddit threads exploded. Was this some kind of influencer summit where celebrities offered luxury travel, free lodging, and maybe even quiet payouts just to attend? And here's the thing, it wouldn't even be surprising. When you're worth nearly $200 billion, flying in A-listers on private jets is just another bullet point on a budget spreadsheet. Even if there was no direct cash exchange, the favors alone must have been insane. First class everything, 5-star everything else. But the most awkward part, most of the guests didn't even look like they wanted to be there. The smiles were forced. The interactions were stiff. No group dancing, no inside jokes, no actual joy. Just flashbulbs, stares, and a lingering sense that everyone was calculating how soon they could leave without being rude. It didn't feel like a wedding. It felt like a networking mixer with a dress code. And just when people thought the guest list was the weirdest part, the fashion took things to a whole new level of bizarre. For a wedding that reportedly cost $50 million, the outfits looked underwhelming. Lauren Sánchez wore a custom Dolce & Gabbana gown, long-sleeved, tightly corseted, heavy. It was dramatic, sure, but dramatic in the wrong direction. Guests expected Venetian glamour, soft lace, or romantic silhouettes. What they got was something critics called more winter funeral than summer wedding. The dress looked stiff, like it was designed to impress Anna Wintour, not Jeff Bezos. It didn't feel bridal, it felt branded. More costume than personal style, less blushing bride, and more influencer in a sponsored post. And then came the Kardashians. Kim showed up in her signature skin-tight silhouette, but her expression said it all. Stone-faced, blank, almost like she was attending a business seminar, not a celebration. Khloe looked overheated and distant, while Kylie's dress left people confused. Was it torn on purpose or just badly made? Even Kris Jenner, normally the queen of polished appearances, drew side-eye. One viral comment read, "She looks great, but finally her age." savage, but it captured the vibe. The sparkle was dimming, the fatigue was showing, and Sydney Sweeney, her dress looked like it came from a prom sale at Macy's. Cute? Sure. Wedding of the century appropriate? Not even close. What people kept pointing out was this: nothing matched. Not the looks, not the energy, not even the theme. It was like a movie premiere with no plot, just famous faces and awkward stares. But the weirdest part, none of it was the most viral fashion moment. That honor went to the carpet. In a sea of designer gowns and luxury linens, no one expected the real scene stealer to be the carpet. Photos from the wedding revealed a sprawling expanse of dull gray flooring stretched across the venue like a tech conference was about to start. It wasn't romantic, it wasn't chic, it looked like it had been ripped straight from an Amazon fulfillment center and dropped onto an Italian island. Suddenly the memes wrote themselves. $50 million and they went with corporate carpet? This wedding is giving Prime Day showroom. One post joked. Another said, that carpet has seen more warehouse pallets than wedding vows. It was a small detail, but it symbolized everything. The excess without elegance, the money without meaning, luxury without taste. This wasn't love wrapped in opulence. It was a PowerPoint presentation dressed in Dolce & Gabbana. Because the deeper people looked, the more forced it all seemed. The sterile carpet, the expressionless guests, the mechanical, made for Instagram moments. It didn't feel like a celebration. It felt like a strategy. And speaking of strategy, nothing screamed PR confusion quite like the most ironic guest of all, the climate crusader himself. Of all the guests who showed up, Leonardo DiCaprio might have caused the biggest stir, and not for the reasons you'd expect. This is the guy who spent years warning us about melting glaciers, carbon footprints, and billionaire overconsumption. He literally narrated Before the Flood, a documentary about climate disaster. He's donated millions to environmental causes. He once skipped a flight to reduce emissions, and yet, there he was, boarding a private jet, attending a wedding powered by 90 private planes, ducking his head beneath a black baseball cap like he was trying not to be recognized. Spoiler, it didn't work. Memes exploded. Save the planet, unless there's champagne and a Vogue photographer. Leo flew to a climate crime scene. Guess the planet wasn't the only thing he abandoned. But the kicker, he wore that same black baseball cap to the actual wedding. Not a tux accessory, not a fedora, just a basic pulled low hat like he was sneaking into a frat party. People noticed, people mocked it, and they weren't just laughing, they were calling it out. The hypocrisy, the posturing, the performative activism that crumbled the second luxury came calling. If Leonardo DiCaprio, Hollywood's eco-king, looked ashamed to be there, what did that say about the event itself? Turns out Leo wasn't the only Vogue headline with baggage. It was the cover Vogue couldn't stop promoting. Lauren Sánchez, solo, bridal, and glowing, framed like royalty. But behind the scenes, things were getting awkward. Just days before that cover dropped, Anna Wintour, the iron-willed editor-in-chief who ruled fashion for decades, quietly announced she was stepping down. No grand farewell, no Vogue tribute issue, just a subtle exit right before the magazine handed its front page to Lauren Sánchez. Coincidence? Maybe. But the internet didn't buy it. Speculation spread like wildfire. Was Anna Wintour silently refusing to co-sign what many saw as a manufactured celebrity moment? Was the Lauren cover the final straw in a brand turning itself into a billboard for the ultra-rich? Because here's the thing, this wasn't a fashion-forward couple. This wasn't Meghan Markle at the Met Gala or Zendaya at Cannes. This was a billionaire tech mogul and his fiancée, a former news anchor turned socialite, styled to look like a Kardashian but promoted like a princess. It felt hollow. It felt aspirational without substance. And for Vogue, a publication known for curating culture, not just cash, putting Lauren Solo on the cover sent a message. Prestige can be bought, or worse, staged. But while critics debated the fashion ethics, regular people noticed something even more glaring. This wedding didn't feel real. It felt like a set, because for all the glitz, where was the emotion? Weddings are supposed to be messy, loud laughter, bad dancing, speeches that go on too long, tears, toasts, stories. But at Jeff and Lauren's wedding, none of that happened. There were no viral clips of heartfelt vows, no spontaneous dance floors, no sweet moments moments caught by accident, just posing, posturing, and people staring into space. The guest list was stacked, but the interactions were barely there. Everyone looked like they were walking through a photo shoot, not a celebration. It was smile, snap, step aside, like the whole thing had been choreographed by a brand manager instead of a wedding planner. You know it's bad when even the Kardashians look bored, and that's their thing. Every smile felt rehearsed. Every pose felt calculated. Even the body language screamed, "I don't really know you." There were no clicks, no cozy reunions, no viral awe moments, just distance. Emotional, physical, and social. The vibe, cold. The energy, office the takeaway. This wasn't a community coming together. It was a collection of contracts and camera angles. Because when your guests are counting the minutes until they can jet back home, it's not a wedding, it's a press junket. And when the final photos were posted and the rented island emptied out, something else showed up instead. Backlash. Just days after the wedding, Lauren Sánchez stepped back into the spotlight, this time to debut a massive new ring, not a traditional band, not something subtle or symbolic. This was a full knuckle gemstone that made her previous pink diamond look like a party favor. It wasn't just a ring, it was a declaration of power, and that power came with a price, not just in dollars, but in public perception. Reports confirmed that nearly 90 private jets flew guests in and out of Venice. One flight tracker noted that Kim Kardashian's return trip to LA alone cost over $33,000 in jet fuel, not including the carbon footprint. The internet did not hold back. Is this what happens when billionaires run out of hobbies? $50 million in for conference room carpet and influencer B-roll. Imagine solving world hunger or throwing this wedding. It wasn't just the extravagance that got people talking. It was the timing. At a moment when the world is battling student loan debt, housing crises, and rising costs of living, this wedding felt like a slap in the face. A golden parade through a crumbling street. A viral post summed it up. This wasn't a wedding. This was a masterclass in everything wrong with billionaire culture. Because when you fly 200 people around the world for a photo op, when your carpet trends for the wrong reasons, and when even your VIP guests look like they're faking it, it's not about love, it's about optics. So what was this? A $50 million wedding, a Hollywood spectacle, or a billionaire branding campaign dressed in white? Because the truth is, Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sánchez weren't just celebrating love, they were launching a legacy, one designed for headlines, engineered for influence, and built to compete with the likes of Kardashian royalty and Silicon Valley legends. But the problem, people saw through it. They saw the awkward guest list, the lifeless photos, the gray carpet pulled from an Amazon warehouse. They saw Leonardo DiCaprio hiding under a hat, Anna Wintour walking away from Vogue, and influencers pretending to know the couple just long enough to get their picture taken. It didn't feel personal. It didn't feel joyful. It felt performative. And in a world that's growing more skeptical of billionaire culture, where wealth without authenticity is no longer aspirational, this wedding became something else entirely. A warning, because money can buy you a private island, 90 jets, a custom Vogue shoot, and a rock so big it needs its own seat on the plane. But it can't buy you taste, it can't buy you respect, and it definitely can't buy you a moment that feels real. So here's the question for you. Is this the future of fame? Billionaires cosplaying as celebrities? Or just a desperate attempt to stay relevant in a world that's moving on? Let me know what you think in the comments below.